Hello, and welcome to another show of a street man and a Christian woman. Tonight's topic is about emotions. Emotions is a good topic because people don't like to speak about emotions. There's a lot of people in this world that have emotional issues but don't know how to seek help. So we hope by the end of the night we may be able to pass on some information that may be able to help emotional people deal with their emotions. So let me speak on my part of emotions and where I learned emotions because in the street really don't have emotions. You're kind of emotionless when you're living out there in those streets and you living in a street way. But I had a chance to have a therapist to help me see where my emotions, where I didn't have emotions, and it was simple. We was getting some therapy, and the therapist had said to me that I didn't have any compassion. And I looked at her and I said, wow, that's what Kenyatta said to me before. And it took until a third party helped me see that I didn't have any compassion. So I learned to grow to have compassion for my wife from a third party that helped me see that I didn't have any compassion. Because in the streets, people take compassion as being soft. And you just can't show softness in the street. But a relationship or a marriage is not the streets. And you need to show some compassion to your wife. So that's how I learned to show and have compassion for the woman in my life. And I'm going to let Miss Kenyatta speak a little bit more on emotions. And then I'm going to come back and close it up and give you another version of where you can seek help while you're dealing with your emotions. So at this time, we're going to let Miss Kenyatta speak from here.
Yes, indeed. I am an emotional woman. I had a lot of emotional issues. My father and my husband, two different men that I both love, but I couldn't compare the two because my husband provided for me like my dad, and then my husband protected me like my dad. But my husband wasn't godly like my father, and that made my emotions get mixed up. And I had to realize I was hurting my own relationship by making my husband think he got to be like my dad. He's not my dad, he's my husband. I go to bed with him at night. And I had to quit expecting him to be like my dad and love him for the man he is. The first part of my emotional problem I had to deal with is accepting the fact that I was abandoned. When I was abandoned, I had to learn how to deal with it. And I had to forgive him and forgive myself. The second part of my emotional issue I had to deal with was neglect. Neglect the fact that I had to accept it, that I was hurt. And how to handle that is really simple. Ask for help. Ask for help to get help to deal with my emotion, which is to let it go. Forgive. And go to Emotional Anonymous to get help to deal with my coping skills to deal with hurt. And how to handle that is a very big challenge. And I got help about it, and they showed me steps. They gave me tools. They gave me advice. And also reading Proverbs in the Bible helped me as well. And a lot of times as women, we got a lot of built up emotions, and we don't even know how to dish it out properly, and it'll make us anger, bitter, and act out of control. And that's how I was. So I got help, and I learned to support myself by being around emotional people who listened to my hurt and who taught me how to heal from my hurt and talking about it properly and not yelling and dumping on everybody else's problems and dumping my problems on everybody else because I was emotionally hurt. I healed from my hurt by getting help and getting therapy about it. And I had to forgive, and I had to let go, and I had to move forward. And that helped me become a better woman, a healthier woman, and able to communicate and socialize healthy and not in a negative way and have a negative impact on my relationship. So for people who are emotional, learn to get emotional help. EA, Emotional Anonymous, that's a program that I go to that taught me a whole lot. That gave me a healthier relationship with my husband because I asked for help. And sometimes as women, we have it built up and don't know how to ask for help. We just don't. We try to keep it all inside of us and not talk about it. And I had to learn to talk about it because it was eating me up on the inside. I didn't even want to eat. I had to let it eat me up in the inside. So they helped me, teach me how to write out my feelings and rip it out. Write it down on a piece of paper and rip the paper up and don't talk about it no more. Talk about it among healthy people, which was emotional people. And not every woman out here is emotional and know how to deal with that. So this is not for every woman. This is just for people who are emotional. Get help, get therapy, and use your tools to help get you through it. And I thank God for my husband giving us a second chance and helping me deal with my emotional issues. Thanks for letting me share. Back to you, Mr. Delgado.
And in closing, I like to say that a lot of the issues and topics that we speak about, we speak from wisdom that we had gained from our 23 years of marriage. And we just want to give back and help others. And what we learned about emotions is that there are just as many emotional people in the world as there are NA and AA. But find you a 12-step program such as EA if you have emotional issues, and seek the help that you need to help you deal with your emotions. Don't keep them bottled up inside yourself, because all it's going to do is explode one day. So we pray and we hope that this show may have helped someone understand that there is a place to go if you have emotional issues. So until next week, we like to say and close the show the same way that we always close the show, and that is by holding hands and saying love,
Love,
peace,
peace,
and
togetherness.
togetherness. And good night.